This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on inauguration of new FM transmitters, a radio revolution to boost the radio connectivity in the country. The participants are Dr. A. Surya Prakash, former chairman, Prasar Bharati, and Anshuman Mishra, AIR special correspondent.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated 91 new FM transmitters in the country via video conferencing today. To discuss more about this, we are joined by Dr. A. Surya Prakash, former chairman of Prasar Bharati. Welcome, Dr. A. Surya Prakash, to the show. Please help us understand the significance of the inauguration of these new FM transmitters, particularly for the expansion of the radio coverage in the country.
91 new transmitters. It's a very significant development in terms of expansion of the FM services of All India Radio. And I'm told it reaches out to 84 districts in 18 states and 2 union territories. This is a very major expansion of the FM service. And as you know, FM frequency modulation, its popularity has been growing world over ever since, for many decades now actually. It goes back to the 1970s and 80s in the West, in America and Europe, when FM became very popular. And after its introduction in India, I think we had the first FM radio station in 1977. After that, it has expanded to various metros and cities and so on. And it has become a very popular mode, especially in the context of India's demographic situation. We are a very young nation. I know that world over, teenagers and the younger population, they find FM to be a very friendly kind of medium, and FM channels are popular all over the world. And so is the case in India. Also because, you see, unlike the formal All India radio stations, this is more chatty, it's casual, it enables audience to connect, there is a certain interaction with the audience, and there are a lot of social, community-related information that's available on FM radio. You discuss holidays, festivals, films, film songs. So it's a very popular mode, and through this medium, one can also communicate things that are of a more important nature. Yeah. So therefore, the expansion of FM in India, the decision by All India Radio, and today the Prime Minister has inaugurated 91 more transmitters, is a huge development in terms of your outreach of All India Radio. You will be getting millions more listeners onto your stations now.
Very truly said, Dr. Surya Prakash. So you said that with the expansion of this FM coverage, we would be able to, particularly All India Radio, would be able to connect with more youth population, which are sort of a demographic dividend for India. So how do you see this initiative of expanding the FM coverage and cashing or utilizing the demographic dividend of the country?
Yes, because we are a young nation, we have to look at institutions and processes that actually reach out to that demographic. Yeah. So the old order was okay in the 50s, 60s as far as All India Radio is concerned. But I must tell you, All India Radio, whether it's regular All India Radio programs or whether it is FM, All India Radio enjoys phenomenal credibility in the country. Over the last 20-25 years, we have been bombarded with probably hundreds of television stations. Last count, I think it was over 800. At least 200 or more of those stations have news and current affairs. And yet, the credibility of All India Radio is something unique, which I don't think any television channel can really measure up to that. And that is the strength of All India Radio. And that is the credibility of All India Radio. And with that credibility, when you expand in the FM zone, you are reaching the younger population with channels, you see, that communicate very easily with that demographic. I remember when I was growing up, 9 o'clock news at night, that was a time when there had to be absolute quiet at home, because father would listen to All India Radio. And I still remember the booming voice of Melville DeMello and some of his other colleagues. 9 o'clock in the night, he would come and say, "This is All India Radio, the news read by Melville DeMello." And that is my connect with All India Radio. And of course, much later, decades later, I happened to become chairman of Prasar Bharati. And I have seen expansion of FM and the popularity of FM during my tenure also.
Very true. So from those times today we are seeing that the whole world, including India, is witnessing a digital revolution. And with this,
Yes.
there were a lot of debates as to how relevant the radio is. In fact, if we talk about PM's speech today, he said that radio is not left behind due to the internet revolution, but through online FM and podcasts and other innovative means, it has really come forward in a very innovative way. Would you like to elaborate on this?
Yes, I would completely agree with him, and he himself has played a very unique role in recent years in the what I call the second coming of radio in India. It's phenomenal, his decision to launch Man Ki Baat on radio.
Yep.
And his choice of the medium is really a remarkable decision which has given radio a very wide reach with the people, and it's a very popular program. It is very interactive and so on. So what he says is absolutely right. And in the digital age, radio, what has happened? Radio has just come onto digital platforms. That is all. So for any institution, I think the critical thing is credibility, which is what All India Radio enjoys. So whether in the old format or whether AM or FM or whether that news or those programs now come on digital mode, it is the credibility of All India Radio which will make millions and millions of Indians get on to those platforms to listen to All India Radio programs.
Man Ki Baat, so it's going to complete its 100th episode, the century, as we say.
Yeah.
And it is coming just today's launch of 91 FM transmitters. It's just coming 2 days ahead of that 100th milestone. So how significant do you see in terms of its importance for the radio as a medium and for All India Radio in particular when PM has launched these things coinciding with the 100th milestone of Man Ki Baat? And also, since we are talking about Man Ki Baat, how important it is, Man Ki Baat and the medium of radio, for development communication, as we say that Man Ki Baat has, transformed entire landscape.
I've had the privilege of being an insider, watching the progress of Man Ki Baat for a 5-year period. And I remember when we did the 50th episode of Man Ki Baat, we had a program on All India Radio and Doordarshan. The Prime Minister in a day or two is going to do the 100th episode of Man Ki Baat. Millions of people write to him. He shares their ideas with other millions of his listeners in the subsequent episodes of Man Ki Baat. And it has brought about a phenomenal transformation in communication in a democracy. Actually, you must see Man Ki Baat as an idea where the chief executive reaches out to the last man in the country and the mode of communication and the way he does it. This is truly a remarkable development in the history of democracy itself.
Yeah, so it shows that how much importance Prime Minister gives to the medium of radio and particularly the institution of All India Radio. So can we say that with this expansion of All India Radio reach and network today, it is going to further harness the unique strength of radio to reach out to the widest possible audience and as you said, reaching the milestone?
Absolutely. And this FM expansion is very important in terms of, as I said, our own demographic reality. And I would hope that in the coming years, this expansion, would go on and on. And also, look at India's diversity. We have something like, we speak 120, and last time I saw the language census, I think it was 121 languages. That is the number of languages that we speak in this country. And All India Radio with its expansion, how it has reached out to people and how it connects with people in all these various languages. Remarkable institution and a remarkable institution in a democracy. And that is why the Prime Minister's choice of All India Radio as a platform is very, very significant.
So out of these 91 new FM transmitters launched today, dedicated to the nation today, many of them are in the aspirational districts and border areas as well. So how do you see this particular aspect of today's expansion?
I remember that, the board, when I was Chairman Prasar Bharati, the board had taken a decision for expansion into certain areas, you see, where some of them were disturbed areas and some border areas and so on and so forth. And I thought that was very important. So this development is very, very significant because, especially you look at the border districts, we have to reach out to people there, and FM is an excellent mode of doing that. And also, we have to reach out in the border districts in order to, in a way, keep away all other transmissions which are from other agencies, institutions which may be trying to reach them. The other thing is some disturbed areas in the country. It's very important to expand into those areas so that the people, especially in areas there have been some law and order issues and so on and so forth, and in the forest areas and so on, the population needs to be connected and needs to get right and correct information about government programs and as to what is happening in the country. And therefore, this expansion to far-flung areas, villages is very significant.
So how significant a role radio plays in the security and integrity of India? Dr. Surya Prakash, your comments?
It's very important. You just look at the border districts and so on, because across the border, there are constant efforts for decades in order to produce radio programs and other stuff which would influence people on our side of the border. And therefore, it's very important for All India Radio to have a very strong presence. And it is very significant from a national security point of view and from an internal security point of view. And All India Radio has always had that focus, as I can recall.
So can we say that radio will continue to make the communication smoother than ever in times of emergency and disasters?
Yes. Even in disaster management, in fact, whenever you have natural calamities and so on. I remember some years ago there were floods in Chennai, and I remember people writing to us and telling us how they were able to contact All India Radio Chennai, and through All India Radio Chennai they were able to communicate and talk about their problems and the help they needed, and that is how some disaster management arrangements could be made. This has happened in many other areas of the country also. AR is, in that sense, you see, it's not just news and current affairs or entertainment. It plays a far bigger role than any of these things which I have mentioned.
One last question, Dr. Surya Prakash. So nowadays we have seen, with the flood of information, the clutter of information from various mediums, various platforms, the common man is not able to filter what is for them, what is good for them or bad for them, or what is important for them. So in this regard, how do you see All India radios or the medium of radios, importance, or do you see that it is still the best medium in disseminating the info on public schemes and guidelines to keep the sanity prevailing?
From of all, we are the most diverse society in the world. Look at cultural diversity in the country, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir and from north, south, east to west. In such a situation, you need a very, very credible news and current affairs platform. And All India Radio fulfills that role. The future of our democracy, the future of our harmonious existence, for all that, radio, All India Radio and its role is very, very significant in a diverse country like ours. And it enjoys that credibility. So come TV channels or come digital channels or digital newspapers or what have you, at the end of the day, people will always gravitate towards credible platforms. And the credible platform in India as far as news and current affairs is and will always be All India Radio.
Thank you so much for speaking to News Services Division of All India Radio, Dr. Surya Prakash.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on inauguration of new FM transmitters, a radio revolution to boost the radio connectivity in the country. The participants were Dr. A. Surya Prakash, former Chairman, Prasar Bharati, and Anshuman Mishra, AIR Special Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsttalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928 909 4044.